But first, our top story this half an hour, 5 days and counting, the midterm elections in focus, and the results could have major economic implications. Joining me right now is the former CEO of Microsoft, Steve Balmer. He is the co-founder of Balmer Group and USA Facts chairman, Steve Balmer. Great to see you, Steve.
Good to be here,
Thanks
Maria.
so much for joining us this morning. So you created USA Facts to help voters get informed, and it's basically the facts on economic issues of our time. Tell us what the big, important issues are surrounding this midterm election.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is strictly look through numbers. Immigration pops on our site. Healthcare pops on our site. Important. Jobs, of course, as well as income and wages. And there's very interesting numbers that help frame the issue. One of the things people miss is both sides have religion. I believe X. I believe Y. And the truth of the matter is, most things do reduce to numbers. How many undocumented immigrants are there in the country? What are we doing to stop that today? What's that going to look like in the future? Both sides can look at that issue differently, but it's certainly a key one in the election today.
And USA Facts really helps people get that data to fill in the holes or understand better the actual facts and the actual issues. So we let in 1 million immigrants, or we let in a million foreigners to this country every year, but there's still outrage when people look at these caravans of people trying to get in the front of the line and get here illegally. So facts on immigration.
Okay, a few things.
Yeah.
About half of our population growth comes now from immigration. If you put births and deaths of people who live here and then compare that to immigration, so immigration is an important part of the growth in our population. That's number one. The undocumented immigrant population over the last 15 years has gone from about 10.5 million people to 12 million people, but wow. The number of border guards has increased substantially from about 4,000 to 19,000, if I have it clear in my head. But the number of people we apprehend at the border down from 1.7 million to 300,000. What's going on? More border guards, fewer apprehensions, some growth in the number of undocumenteds. How do people see that? How do they think about it? Some of the other immigration issues are about legal immigration.
Yes.
And you put that all together. We're in a time, I was listening to your show earlier, 7 million open jobs, and we have at least 3 or 4 million people in the U.S. Who are working on an undocumented basis. If all those people left the country, creates even more unfilled jobs.
See, I think this is one of the reasons that technology executives in particular are very focused on immigration, and they call up the president and say, look, we need people, we need engineers, we need skilled people to work with the jobs that we can offer. Is that right? Because technology CEOs are more interested in this subject than others, I think.
Yes, that's true. I certainly was.
When it comes to business executives.
Yeah, I certainly was. That was very important for the supply of talent into Microsoft. The thing that's interesting is the so-called high-tech workforce that is coming into the country. That is tens of thousands. The number of people who are coming in legally is millions. So when you think about that issue, when I worked at Microsoft, there's high-skill immigration. Right. But the truth of the matter is that does need to be looked at in an integrated way. I love the idea that the smartest people in the world want to come live and work in this country. Right. But we have to look at this immigration issue in total.
You make a lot of good points, Steve. Let me ask you about Microsoft. You were the CEO of Microsoft for a long time. The company announcing it will sell AI products to China. And I want to get your take on the opportunity in China and also the opportunity around artificial intelligence, AI. I'm just back from San Francisco. I sat down with the co-founder of Oracle, Larry Ellison, about technology companies working with the government. Here's what he said about Google and China. Listen to this.
I think U.S. tech companies who say we will not support the U.S. military. You know, we will not work on any technology that helps our military, but yet goes into China and facilitates the Chinese government surveilling their people is pretty shocking. I think it's very important that U.S. technology companies support our country, our government. We are a democracy. If we don't like our leaders, we can throw them out. If you don't like the leaders in China, you can fill in the blank.
What do you think about that, Steve?
Well, I think it starts with a premise that I might not agree with. Most, at least software intellectual property in China, is stolen anyway. So the notion that a policy decision by a U.S. company is going to dramatically impact that is interesting. You know, most of Microsoft software, when I left, this is a few years ago now, was stolen. And you say, okay, is it possible to steal the software without even selling it in China? The answer is yes, it is. So I do think that there are some important principles in what Larry says. I don't deny that. And yet the specific issue is very hard to control.
You make such an important point. And I think I heard a stat, you'll be able to correct me if this is wrong, that 90% of companies in China use the Microsoft operating system, but like 1% pay.
Certainly, as I left a few years ago, that was right.
That was exactly. 90% of companies are using the Microsoft operating platform, and only 1% are paying for it. How do we? I mean, what are we going to do that China keeps stealing everything this way? I mean, that's pretty extraordinary.
I'm a free trader by nature. I went to school, economics. It's the best thing for the world. This one's a tricky issue because it is absolutely clear that the rules don't apply in China. And the U.S. government needs to do something, whether tariffs are right or wrong. I'm silent on that point. But without any pressure from the U.S. government, we're talking about $10 billion plus, for example, in Microsoft that would go into profit. As a shareholder, that's the easiest thing for me to now see as an outsider. We just haven't seen the rise in profits that would be commensurate with real intellectual property protection in China.
So where does this go, Steve? I mean, I don't think they're going to change their behavior, frankly, because they won't even admit that they've been stealing our IP. I mean, you were the CEO of Microsoft, and you can confirm that 90% of these large companies in China use Microsoft, and they don't even pay for it. So where is this going? Are you happy that this administration is pushing back on China? I know we're not sure if tariffs is the way to do it, but what is the way then?
Not sure. I don't work at Microsoft anymore. Hard to see the internal issues. All I can say is, without any pressure, nothing's going to change. Not clear tariffs is the right way to go. I'll be silent on that. But at least in this free trader's mind, you have to think about more draconian measures.
You've been watching the industry, a student of technology for a long time. So let me get your take on this new focus on tech, and that is the regulatory environment. I mean, 25 years ago, when you and I first started talking, these companies weren't where they are today. So Google, Alphabet, Amazon, well, Microsoft as well. They've gotten so much bigger, and you were around to see the way the EU targeted Microsoft at a time because of the law of large numbers. It was so big, that it was so powerful, that you became a target at Microsoft. Now Alphabet is a target. Amazon is a target. What do you think should be done? Are they too big and powerful?
I think the notion of saying something is just too big because it's big, that doesn't resonate with me. It didn't when governments targeted Microsoft.
Google does 90% of all search in the country.
And Microsoft did 90% of all operating systems.
Okay.
That, per se, is hard to complain with. It's how people leverage that power. Is Google going to favor only its own store, for example, when it comes time to putting up search results for products? That's a different problem. That is a targetable offense. Is Google only going to bundle its search with Android? That's an issue that needs to be looked at. The pure size, I'm sorry, I don't believe that should be targeted. They did a good job. They've gained market share. Bravo.
You think we'll see more regulation on tech?
I don't think, well, there's two kinds of regulation. On size, the kind you've talked about, maybe not sure how to think about that. On the issues of privacy and data protection, yes, I do think we'll see more regulation. In the best of worlds, it's not just slammed down. The regulators will work with the tech companies to find the right solutions. A piece of legislation that throws a lightning bolt and says do this is unlikely to be the right thing.
Yeah, it's great analysis, Steve. You're also the chairman of the LA Clippers. Let's talk sports for a second. You're working on a new way for fans to watch games. Tell us about that technology.
Yeah, we've been working for a few years on an augmented reality view of the game, so that in real time you can see player statistics, you can take the point of view of the coach, of the point guard, you can sit back and kind of just watch in a fun way. We let you pick different camera angles.
I love that.
We're in version 1. We even use AI to auto-generate additional facts about the game live as it's going on. It's really incredible, I think, and you know, since I'm a software guy, it's version 1,
I love
and we'll
it.
just keep coming.
So this is just making everything just much more interactive, getting the fans involved wherever they are.
Exactly right.
What has been the response to LeBron on the LA Lakers?
Well, you know, we do our own thing. We do LA our way at the Clippers. And obviously LeBron is a great, great player. Our job is to go out and beat 29 other teams every night. And we're after it.
And you're ready for it.
Absolutely.
Steve, it's great to see you this morning.
Great to see you, Maria.
Thanks so much for joining us. Steve Balmer. Stay with Fox.